Well, not anymore, because it's over.
Vic, what are you going on about?
Everything. The business, the friendship, the lot.
Vic, you're making a big mistake here.
Save it, Steve. It's finished.
In 20 minutes,
Sex, politicians, spies.
Christine Keeler tells all.
There's a lot more behind the perfumer affair than just a photograph.
Sex Bomb, tonight.
And stay with us for the news next.
Coronation Street is sponsored by Cadbury's Flake.
Sounding great and looking the part.
We look like a band.
Hear the first ever play of the Popstars single, Saturday 8:15 on ITV.
Formula One 2001.
I believe ITV's coverage is genuinely the best in the world.
The new season begins in Australia from March the 3rd on ITV.
Grandad's good at golf, isn't he?
Well, he's got time to practice. He doesn't have to go to work every day like Daddy.
Why?
He's retired.
Standard Life pensions perform consistently well, so you can spend your retirement doing exactly what you want to do.
Just think, James, when you're Grandad's age, you can play golf every day.
He still won't be able to hit the thing.
Standard Life, for pensions, investments, healthcare and banking.
The more you do, the more your world becomes chaotic and the more you need control. That's the whole philosophy behind the Nissan Almera. It's all about feeling protected in a cocoon. The design translates to the agility of the car. It's kind of a control freak on wheels, but in a good way.
Whatever you're into, get out to the National Boat, Caravan and Leisure Show. Now on until February the 25th at the NEC Birmingham.
For the toughest job in the kitchen, I need a tough oven cleaner. And that's where Dr. Beckmann Rescue comes in. Its powerful active gel clings to every surface of your oven. So after 30 minutes, cleaning the oven doesn't seem such a chore. But as powerful as it is, there's something rather clever about Dr. Beckmann Rescue. Its unique formula is non-toxic, so there are no nasty fumes and it won't harm your skin. Dr. Beckmann Rescue, it's your kind of cleaner. Part of the Dr. Beckmann Rescue range of clever cleaners.
Discover the glory of ancient Egypt. Follow in the footsteps of the pharaohs, unravel the secrets of the mummies, and explore the mysteries of the Nile. Packed full of fascinating facts, The Glory of Ancient Egypt is a stunning new magazine series, which includes a fabulous artifact with every issue. Start your collection now with issue 1, including an amazing Tutankhamun artifact. Get issue 1 of The Glory of Ancient Egypt at newsagents now for just 99 pence.
When our flying fur is driving you insane,
pledge dust and go.
And your mum-in-law is coming down the lane.
Can't be slow.
It's like a magnet on your dust, so don't put the blame on us. Clean up with time to spare with Dust and Go.
From Pledge, you know.
Why be slow? Pledge Dust and Go.
Midland Mainline runs 135 trains a day. So if you do miss one, there'll be another one along soon.
If you want interest in your business to bloom, use the power of television to promote the growth you need. To get on TV, get on the phone.
Dear Dad, we've only been here a few days, but already Jack's been off exploring. We've introduced ourselves to the neighbours, and already he's been invited for a drink down at the local. But what really makes him feel at home is Cesar. All those delicious meaty chunks. Jack loves it more than ever. It makes his day. We must dash or we'll miss the post. Love, Sally. And Jack.
You're watching Carlton, part of the ITV network. Now it's time for the latest news.
Foot and mouth outbreak triggers a ban on British meat. Treasury sparks controversy with a temporary cut in petrol duty. Leeds reached the quarter-finals of the Champions League. And the row tonight over Sir Elton's duet with Eminem.
From ITN, the ITV News at 10 with Trevor McDonald.
Good evening. British farming was dealt another hammer blow today with confirmation of foot and mouth disease at an abattoir in Essex. It's the first outbreak in this country for 20 years, and its source is still a mystery. Tonight, an export ban was slapped on all British livestock, meat and milk, and 5 farms have had exclusion orders placed round them. Foot and mouth affects pigs, cattle and sheep and can spread like wildfire. Paul Davies reports.
The export of livestock, meat and dairy produce is worth almost £600 million a year to the British economy. But tonight the British livestock industry is again plunged into crisis. This is the reason why the barriers thrown around suspect farms and this abattoir announced that foot and mouth disease is back. Now the British farmer faces a worldwide ban on his produce.
And coming on top of everything else, usually in farming, you know, one sector's up, one sector's down. We've had them all down, and just when we're starting to get a little bit better on prices, then this hits us again.
It was here at this abattoir near Brentwood in Essex that signs of foot and mouth disease were first spotted in 27 pigs sent from farms in Buckinghamshire and the Isle of Wight. As ministry inspectors moved on to suspect farms searching for the source of the outbreak, the government promised swift action to win back world confidence.
Nobody would ever want this. It's potentially very damaging to the livestock sector, but I think everybody in the industry would agree that by far and away the best thing the government can do is to get it firmly under control, and that's what we're setting out to do.
As part of the emergency measures, all people and vehicles entering the suspect areas are being sprayed with disinfectant. The movement of animals is banned. These are the images that still haunt the farming industry. The carcasses of infected livestock being burnt during the 1967 outbreak when 500,000 animals had to be slaughtered. The virus is highly infectious and can even be carried on the wind.
Pigs and cattle are the main species that are affected. And between these two, the ones that spread the greatest volume of virus is pigs. So if it gets loose in the country, it'll spread and decimate the national herd.
No one is more aware of that risk than the ministry inspectors, which is why their vehicles were doused in disinfectant as they finally left the Essex abattoir tonight. Attempts to contain the disease were originally focused on this abattoir and on 2 farms on the Isle of Wight and in Buckinghamshire. But there was more bad news for the beleaguered farming industry tonight, with suspected outbreaks of foot and mouth disease now being investigated in Gloucestershire and at a pig farm at Selby in Yorkshire. Paul Davies, ITN, Essex.
The Treasury announced a temporary cut of 2p a litre in the duty on unleaded petrol this evening. It will run from Budget Day, a fortnight from now, until June the 14th, after the expected election. The Conservatives called it cynical, but the Treasury had another explanation, as Caroline Kerr reports.
Last November, the Chancellor promised that on Budget Day, we'd all get a 2p tax cut on ultra-low sulphur petrol, the new environmentally friendly fuel. The problem is, it's found on some forecourts, but is by no means universally available. So today the government said it would extend its offer. The cut announced today will affect unleaded fuel, which makes up about 70% of the market. Now a litre at the pumps costs around 75p. After the March budget, it'll be 2p cheaper. That's a saving of around 10p a gallon. So if you drive an average car like a Mondeo, a full tank will be more than £1 cheaper. But the offer is temporary. It'll go on June the 14th. It was the fuel protest last September which forced the Chancellor to make his original concession on the cost of the new green petrol. The Conservatives said that at every stage the government has acted cynically on petrol prices.
Under the protest from motorists, Gordon Brown announces a cut in petrol duty, but it's only for a very special form of petrol that none of us can find at our own petrol stations. Now we've got this cut just for 2 months, which it so happens is going to be whilst there's a general election on. It really is so cynical. I don't think people will be taken in.
The government would like to stop petrol becoming an election issue, but tonight reaction to a temporary cut in unleaded was mixed.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to a lot of people.
A few pence coming off for a change. That makes a bit of a difference for work.
It will make a difference over 12 months. What trouble is it? A few months' time it'll shoot back up again, won't it?
But tonight the government said people won't lose out when unleaded goes up again in June, because by then the new green fuel will be available everywhere. It's clear that in the run-up to an election, the Chancellor didn't want to be accused of reneging on a promise to make cheaper petrol widely available. But the result is that British motorists are in the highly unusual position tonight of looking forward to a budget in which the price of unleaded petrol will be cut. Caroline Kerr, ITN, Central London.
A teenage army cadet lost a hand tonight in an explosion in West London. He also has chest injuries and is said to be very ill in hospital. Police believe that the 14-year-old, a cadet at the White City Territorial Base, where the explosion happened, picked up an object which then went off. The blast happened just after 7 o'clock this evening. An anti-terrorist team is now investigating. The Lord Chancellor, Lord Irvine, made no apology today over the so-called Wigs for Cash affair. He told the Lords he didn't think he'd done anything wrong in raising funds for Labour at a dinner for lawyers. The Lord Chancellorship, he said, was a party political post. Here's John Draper.
Lord Irvine did break his silence, but he didn't apologise for seeking donations for the Labour Party from lawyers. Critics had said it wasn't proper to ask for money from people he might be appointing as QCs or judges. He rejected that.
I do not believe that I have done anything wrong, nor do I believe that I have broken any current rules. If I did, I would be the first to apologise. Now, I do not believe that anyone who attended the dinner in question could conceivably have thought that a donation could have brought an appointment's advantage.
He said he'd do the same again if it weren't for the political fuss, but a Liberal Democrat said a fundamental principle had been breached by such fundraising.
Can the Secretary of State for Education write to deputy headmasters? Can the Minister of Agriculture write to farmers? Can the Minister of Health write to junior doctors? There is a blurring by his behaviour of the responsibilities as a minister and his responsibilities as a politician.
The message that came out is we are never wrong, we never apologise, and we're not going to resign. And that shows the Lord Chancellor's lack of judgment. That is why he should still resign.
There's no question of Lord Irvine going. The Prime Minister has given him robust support. But what must be worrying him is the degree of criticism among judges and top lawyers. The one positive aspect, according to some, is that the row has opened up a debate about the role of the Lord Chancellor and reform of the way judges are appointed. John Draper, ITN, Westminster.
The former consultant engineer was tonight committed to secure mental hospital for a horrifying samurai sword attack on the Liberal Democrat MP last year. The MP survived, but his aide, Andrew Pennington, was run through with the sword and died. Andrea Cathwood has our full story.
Inside Bristol Crown Court this afternoon, a jury found 50-year-old Robert Ashman had attempted to kill Liberal Democrat MP Nigel Jones and had taken the life of his aide Andrew Pennington in a sacrificial killing with a samurai sword. Ashman burst into the MP's Cheltenham office last January, the 3-foot-long samurai sword concealed in a scabbard around his neck. As he swung at Nigel Jones, the MP caught the blade with his hands. He escaped with severe cuts and 50 stitches. But then Ashman turned on the MP's aide. He ran Andrew Pennington through 9 times with the blade. Mr. Pennington had been trying to save the life of his MP. After the verdict, Mr. Pennington's sister spoke of the family's grief.
The Liberal Democrat Party has lost a dedicated worker, but our family has lost much more.
And police praised his bravery.
He saved the life of Nigel Jones, and in doing so, he sacrificed his own life, and he died a most horrible death.
The court heard of the killer's downward spiral, losing his home, his job, his family, and finally his mind. Last week, a jury ruled he was mentally unfit to stand trial, but after today's decision that he carried out the killing, he will be sent to a mental hospital indefinitely. Andrea Catherwood, ITN.
The head of the Roman Catholic Church in England and Wales was made a cardinal in Rome today. Cormac Murphy O'Connor, the Archbishop of Westminster, was one of 44 new cardinals created by the Pope in a ceremony in St. Peter's Square. The Conservatives published their plans today for using the tax system to reward and encourage marriage. They're promising a transferable allowance, but only for married couples with young children. The government and single mothers groups aren't impressed. John Ray reports.
The front room of the Style family in Surrey is also one of the key battlegrounds for the election, as the parties vie for the family vote. Gavin Style works full-time. His wife usually looks after the children, and that makes them big winners under the Tories' latest tax plan, designed, says William Hague, to bolster marriage.
Our society is better, more successful, happier if most people live in secure and stable marriages, and the government should recognise that instead of stamping on it.
This is how the tax cut will work. There'll be up to £1,000 from the tax bill of married couples who have children under 11 and where one parent stays at home. It'll cost £1 billion to implement. So how many people will benefit? There are currently 10 million married couples who pay tax. The Tories say 3.7 million families with children under 11 are eligible. But Labour says only 1.5 million will benefit.
A married couple, both working hard to provide for their kids, gain nothing. A married couple with 3 kids at secondary school gain nothing, and yet they call it a married couple's allowance.
The Tory sums just don't add up. People know you can't get something for nothing. These tax cuts are a cut in the police, cut in the schools, cut in the hospitals for other people.
The Conservatives want to claim the mantle of the party that champions marriage, while Gordon Brown's family tax cuts have been aimed at all working parents, particularly those on lower incomes. William Hague will disappoint those who look to the Tories to restore the allowance for all married couples. Too expensive, said the Shadow Chancellor, but Mr Portillo reckons he still has enough room to more than match any budget giveaway from Labour. John Ray, ITN, Westminster.
Football. Leeds United had a sensational win in the European Champions League tonight and are through to the last 8. They beat Anderlecht 4-1 in Belgium. Arsenal looked like winning too, but the French side Lyon snatched an equaliser on 90 minutes. Here's our sports correspondent Graham Miller.
Leeds in yellow tonight were looking to avoid defeat in Belgium to consolidate their Champions League progress. Never in their wildest dreams could they have expected such a victory. Anderlecht had won 9 European matches in a row at home, and early on Leeds braced themselves for a fiery night. But Leeds' efforts in Europe have been inspiring. Tonight was no exception. Viduka found Alan Smith with a perfect pass, and would you know it, they were 1-up. Mark Viduka himself was the next scorer, making the most of Matteo's cross. His looping header gave Leeds a 2-goal cushion. But it was far from over. Before half-time, they made it 3-0 with a classy build-up and a confident finish from Smith, his second of the night. In the second half, when Yankola took advantage of some poor Leeds defending, Anderlecht were briefly back in the game. But then Viduka was brought down for a penalty, and Leeds completed a memorable night. Ian Hart made it 4-1. Leeds, the first English club, into the quarter-finals. Arsenal, meantime, have never reached the last 8 before, and they too started the night well against Lyon at Highbury. Dennis Bergkamp looked a bit lucky when his shoulder charge knocked Edmilson out of the way. No foul was given, and his final touch was superb. But Arsenal paid the price for complacency when Edmilson took revenge with a last-minute equaliser, leaving Arsenal's progress in Europe in some doubt. Graham Miller, ITN Sport.
Sir Elton John is making a controversial appearance at the Grammy Awards ceremony in Los Angeles a little later tonight. To the dismay of gay rights group, he's agreed to sing a duet with the rap artist Eminem, whose lyrics are anything but gay-friendly. Here's Juliet Bremner.
Eminem's lyrics are unashamedly anti-Grammy and anti-gay. But in another controversial move, the rapper will perform at the music industry's biggest night with Elton John, one of gay rights' most outspoken advocates. For those who've campaigned against his violent and obscene songs, this double act is nothing short of a disgrace.
What makes this different is it's not just simple name-calling and ridicule. It's lyrics like, I'll stab you in the head whether you're a fag or a les. Do I hate gays? The answer is yes. This is about violence, not about just ridicule.
But Sir Elton John, seen here with his partner, is brushing aside the criticism. Despite the homophobic tone, He says the lyrics appeal to his English, black sense of humour. And Elton isn't the only celebrity to endorse Eminem. Madonna today also revealed that she's a big fan of the singer. Whether or not he wins any of the 4 awards he's nominated for tonight, the rapper looks set to steal yet another show. Juliet Bremner, ITN.
A look at tonight's main news again now. Exports of British livestock, meat and milk, were banned tonight after foot and mouth disease was confirmed in pigs at an Essex abattoir. It's the first outbreak in this country for 20 years. And the Treasury's announced a temporary cut of 2p a litre in the duty on unleaded petrol. And that's tonight's news at 10. Coming next on ITV, Christine Keeler tells her story. We're back tomorrow. From all of us here, goodbye.
Gas, electricity and telephone.
Good evening. 12 degrees in places today. Could be 10 degrees colder than that by the weekend. The cold spell is definitely still on course. The only place to see cold weather tonight will be the north of Scotland. Some snow showers there. Elsewhere, overcast and relatively mild. The same, I think, for most of tomorrow as well. Much of England and Wales and the northwest will be cloudy, a few spots of drizzle. Colder, brighter weather edging down northeastern parts of Britain through the day tomorrow. Temperatures generally low, still one more mild day. Good night.
Power Gen. Gas, electricity and telephone.
Next tonight on Carlton, Christine Keeler reflects on her part in the biggest scandal of the 1960s.
Wouldn't it be great if real phone calls were this cheap? Just plug a saver socket from British Gas into your BT line and you could save 1/3 off local calls and 50% off national calls. For free connection, call British Gas on 0800 759 759.
Time's running out in the MFI sale, and now there's not just up to 50% off, but we pay the VAT on sale prices too. But you've got to hurry.
To find out if you can make mobile phone savings with British Gas, call 0800 759 759.
New Renault Laguna, moving technology.
This is Carlton. Now meet Christine Keeler, sex bomb.
In May 1963, a 21-year-old woman took part in a photographic session. She was already a household name in Britain, a central figure in the most infamous British sex scandal of the century.
It was the perfect story that was bound to get enormous play through all the newspapers.
Sex, politicians,
ministers, spies. Every day something new emerged from it.
One of the pictures taken that day would be used around the globe and became one of the most memorable images of the swinging 60s. The woman's name was Christine Keeler.